on to public comment, and I do believe we have a few people signed up in chambers as well as online this evening. I do want to mention that we also have 2 public hearings on the agenda, so sometimes people get the sign-up sheets confused, but we will roll with it, and we will let you know if you are in the right place on the agenda when we get to you. So before we begin, just a few housekeeping rules. There's a clock to my right, your left on the wall, indicating that you have 2 minutes of time for your comments. There is a box here at the podium where you will speak that have green, yellow, and red lights indicating, the green light indicating that your time has begun, the yellow light indicating that you have about 30 seconds remaining in your comments, and the red light indicates that your time has expired. If you do not finish your comments within the 2 minutes allotted, you can email the remainder of your comments to the City Council. And so with that, I will turn it over to the Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, we actually have quite a few for public comment tonight, so I'll go ahead and call those that joined us in person first, and then we'll move to online. I'm going to call a few so that you know where you are in the queue and you can get prepared to speak. So first we have Nikki Billadu and Alice Rosewater, and then Miro Stoke.
My first time speaking here, so I'll keep it pretty short. I'm part of the Olympia Dragon Boat Club. We're a local nonprofit here in Olympia that seeks to get a lot of community out on the water together from all walks of life. We're really proud of the work we've done to become an independent nonprofit here since 2020. And this year, we were very fortunate to apply for the tax lodging grant, and we just wanted to come and thank you guys for including us in the 2025 budget. In 2024, we were able to bring 24 clubs from around the Northwest to come and participate in the beautiful waters off of Port Plaza. And next year, we're hoping to have double that, potentially. So we just wanted to say thank you for your support. And if anyone's interested in coming out and joining us, we'd love to have you on the water. As much as anything, we love Olympia, and we're really happy to be participating and bringing something that enhances the culture and the community of our group. So we just wanted to say thank you very much, and we hope to see you there. Thanks.
Thank you. And we will, oh, sorry, I'm thinking about contact for the Dragon Boat Festival, but this is not a back and forth typically. And so I believe that we partner and we'll have that information on the website. Thank you. All right, Alice Rosewater.
Good afternoon. My name is Alice Rosewater. I'm a longtime Olympia resident of over a decade and am closely involved in a number of local organizations, including Olympia DSA and the Thurston Lewis Mason Central Labor Council. But I'm speaking today as an individual and as a queer and trans woman to urge the council to take action and declare Olympia a sanctuary city for trans people who are fleeing discrimination and state-sanctioned violence across our country. This is an urgent issue. State-sanctioned violence and discrimination against my community is increasing at an unprecedented rate all across the country, and the past 2 years have seen a record number of anti-LGBTQ and specifically anti-trans bills introduced and passed in state legislatures across this country. We are under attack, and we are afraid. I have personally met trans people, internal refugees, who were forced to flee their home states for Washington State. Olympia City Council has acted in the past to declare our city a sanctuary for migrants, and later for those fleeing attacks on their reproductive rights, as Roe versus Wade was being overturned. The time is now to further this designation to include trans and LGBTQ plus people as well. Thank you for your time. If you have any further questions, I would love to arrange a meeting with any of you to discuss in further detail what tangible proposals could be included in a sanctuary city designation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Miro Stoke, followed by Jasper Marino.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Miro. I am here to compel Olympia City Council to pass a resolution establishing Olympia as a trans sanctuary city. I've lived in Olympia for over 8 years and personally moved here to escape the oppressive culture and state policies in Arkansas. That was before the first Trump presidency and before the coordinated conservative movement to pass anti-trans legislation across the country. Project 2025 outlines a plan for the first year of Trump's second term to further eviscerate trans rights in the US. Now is the time to shore up existing protections and make intentional and actionable policy choices to keep Olympia safe and inclusive into the future. The Olympia 2023 discrimination survey shows that over a quarter of Olympians identify as LGBTQ+, and approximately 10% are trans or non-binary. It also shows that every form of discrimination disparately impacts trans and non-binary Olympians, including employment, housing, law enforcement, education, healthcare, and access to services. So what could a sanctuary city mean for Olympia? It could look like instruction to police not to cooperate with extradition of people seeking gender-affirming care in states where that becomes illegal, or in cases where there's laws targeting the parents of trans kids or gender-affirming care providers. It could look like lobbying for trans rights at the federal level, ensuring city staff have trans and LGBTQ+ specific training, and providing programming specifically for LGBTQ+ Olympians all times of the year, not just when there's a skating rink. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing more about this.
Thank you. Next, we'll call Jasper Marino, followed by Isaac Wagnitz, followed by April Miller.
Hey everyone, my name's Jasper and I stand before you today not only as a proud resident of Olympia, but as a transgender person. I'm here to urge you to take a bold and necessary step to declare Olympia a sanctuary city for LGBTQ individuals and specifically for trans people like me. We live in an era where being trans feels like a fight for survival. Across this country, the federal administration and many state governments have declared open hostility towards our existence. Whether it's through legislative attacks on our healthcare, bathroom bans, or attempts to erase us from schools and workplace, trans people are under siege. That's not an exaggeration. It's a reality that I and many face every single day. And this reality is deadly. Every year we memorialize the trans lives lost to violence. In 2023 alone, more than 350 trans and gender diverse people were murdered worldwide. And that's just the reported cases. Here in the United States, trans women of color bear the brunt of this violence, compounded by systemic racism and misogyny. For many, sanctuary is not about having a safe place to live, it's about having a chance to live at all. Olympia has long been a community that values equity and justice. This city has a history of standing up for what is right and when it's difficult, even when it's difficult or unpopular. By becoming a sanctuary city, we will reaffirm our commitment to protecting the most vulnerable among us. This means not cooperating with federal or state policies that aim to harm us. This means ensuring trans people have access to healthcare, housing, education, employment without fear of discrimination or harassment. This means actively fighting for our rights to exist in public spaces as our authentic selves. I don't just want to live in Olympia, I want to thrive here. I want to see a future where trans youth grow up knowing they are valued and loved and where they don't have to fight so hard for a simple life. By declaring Olympia a sanctuary city, we can send a message to them and to the world that here we stand with trans people no matter what. Let's choose love, let's choose community, let's make Olympia a beacon of hope, resistance, and care. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Isaac Wagnitz.
Thanks very much. My name's Isaac Wagnitz. I'm a longtime Olympia resident of over 20 years. Echoing some of the earlier speakers, I'd also like to speak in favor of making Olympia a sanctuary city for trans folks. I think this is a good common sense way for Olympia to continue living its values in the form of policy, but I also think there's other reasons for doing it as well. I mean, I see a certain self-interest in it, honestly. I'm a cis hetero white guy, but I'm also working class. I'm a union guy. And honestly, I think homophobia and transphobia, like racism and misogyny, have always been about weakening and dividing working people. And so it's not just out of a sense of justice and solidarity, which are obviously good reasons why we should do this, but also, again, self-interest. When some set of us is being persecuted, just trying to survive, makes it harder for them to organize and fight back. That makes it easier for the wealthy and the powerful to run roughshod over all of us. So I hope wherever we can enact policies that just make it a little bit harder for them to do that to us. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have April Miller, followed by Michael Connor, followed by Brittany Sanchez-Reed.
Good evening. My name is April Miller. I am a minimum wage food service worker, a trans woman, and an organizer with Olympia DSA. I've spoken to you before on a few different issues, namely in support of expanded tenant protections and, of course, a workers' bill of rights. And today I just wanted to echo other voices here in supporting the call for Olympia to declare itself a sanctuary city for trans people. Trans people have become the object of a vitriolic culture war campaign by ruling class politicians aiming to redirect social discontent into shoring up a failing social order. Attacks on the democratic, social, and economic rights of trans and queer people have lined up with attacks on reproductive rights, our immigrant neighbors, and everything that does not fit a reactionary and destructive picture of American so-called greatness. Trans people still face considerable formal and informal discrimination in housing, employment, and other fields, even in safe states like Washington, and our struggle is, of course, far from over. But making Olympia a sanctuary city for trans people would provide necessary refuge for those fleeing repressive legislation and increasing threats of violence, and embolden a wider social struggle to defend the rights of queer and trans people and all the oppressed. Let's set a political agenda in the interest of all working and oppressed people, and I hope to see more work on this question. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Michael Connor.
Hello, my name is Michael Connor, though I find myself more often known as that weird genderqueer person, which I find to be an apt description. For context as to why I stand before you today, I'm a political refugee here in your state. I moved to Washington from Texas in 2020 after years of fearing for my health and safety. I was forced to leave my life, my family, and my friends behind 4 years ago for the sliver of a chance that I could be seen by others as equal under the eyes of society and the law. Now, have I found Washington to always be accepting and understanding? No. I still face a significant amount of transphobia, but at least here I have the same basic legal rights afforded to everyone else that I lacked in Texas. The right to health care, housing, a job, and the right to not have my murderer use the trans panic defense. I can and I will always be thankful that at least for the last 4 years, I felt like the cloud had lifted. I had significantly less fear for my safety when doing simple daily tasks like hanging out with friends, grocery shopping, or even just walking down the street. But this election changed that. We have seen a push at the state level for many years now to strip the rights of transgender individuals across the country and turn us back into second-class citizens. And now with Republicans holding all 3 branches of the federal government, it is just a waiting game before that same legislation begins passing federally. And through the prospective appointment of people like Harmeet Dillon as Assistant AG for Civil Rights, who has spoken proudly and publicly of their wishes to remove transgender individuals from public life, I doubt the wait will be long. So today, I come before you to ask that you make Olympia a sanctuary city before it is too late, because I do not want to be forced to flee my home again, nor do I think I have it in me to do so. Thank you so much for your consideration, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Brittany Sanchez-Reed, followed by Anthony Keene, followed by Elizabeth Walker.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany. I am a resident of Olympia of 12 years, queer, non-binary mental health therapist. I come before you today to urgently advocate for this city to declare itself a sanctuary for trans and queer folks in response to the alarming uptick of anti-trans legislation. These laws target our healthcare, our ability to live authentically, and our very existence. From bans on gender-affirming care to the erasure of our identities in schools and the criminalization of trans individuals, these actions undermine our dignity and our safety. As these threats mount, many of us feel unsafe and uncertain about our future. We are already seeing trans people forced to flee states where their rights are being stripped away, searching for a place where they can thrive and live without fear. By declaring this city a sanctuary for trans and queer folks, we send a clear message that we will not stand by in silence. We will protect the rights, healthcare access, and safety of our trans and queer residents. This is not just a political statement, it's a moral imperative. We have the opportunity to lead by example and show our commitment to human rights and equality. I urge you to take swift action in ensuring that our city continues to be a safe and welcoming place for all, especially those fleeing an increasing hostility towards our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Anthony Keene.
Hello. I'm here today because I did not want every person that came before you to advocate for a sanctuary city for trans people to be trans and to be queer. I am a cis, het, white guy. I am the average person in Olympia. And I'm going to tell you that it's really important that we do this. It's really important that we step forward and advocate for their safety, and we do it now. We be proactive now before someone is in the White House, before that person who said that they are going to invalidate trans people, that trans people do not have the right to exist. We need to act now in front of that to protect them. 2 years ago, we acted as a city to stand up for reproductive rights, for bodily autonomy. Well, this is more bodily autonomy. They get to do what they want with their body. That's their call. And we need to make sure it's really, really clear that that's where we stand as a city. So I hope you get the urgency and the timing, and I hope you listen to every single person up here really carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Elizabeth Walker, followed by Alec Armendariz.
Good evening, season's greetings. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. I also want to recognize our sanctuary testimony today. It's really powerful, and I appreciate you all. My name is Elizabeth Walker. I'm the CEO of South Puget Sound Habitat for Humanity. I'm here to comment today on the ordinance for declaring a health emergency for affordable housing, which is way down on your agenda today. You'll remember I came a few months ago alongside Homes First about the difficulties that some of the code and processes present for the costs and schedules of our housing developments. And we asked you to consider those barriers and their impact on the supply of housing in the area. I want to thank you for being so receptive to our concerns and for immediately asking for your housing team to explore solutions. Since that meeting, your housing team has done a stellar job, really stellar, of seeking practitioner input and crafting what I think are a set of very solid, thoughtful strategies in response. The resulting ordinance addresses many of our concerns, and I believe they will be of concrete and real assistance in helping us build and partner more effectively in Olympia, on our Boulevard project, and on our potential land donation that was kind of having non-starter off-site remediation costs. As an organization, Habitat supports this ordinance and encourages you to approve it. And I recognize that this council has done a lot to date in support of housing, and I want to thank you for that commitment as well as your serious consideration of the ordinance today. We very much want to be a partner, a resource to Olympia residents, to the city of Olympia, as we all navigate this housing crisis. And this ordinance is an ideal next step for further bringing down those barriers and helping more of our neighbors become homeowners.
Thank you. We have Alec Armendariz, followed by Michael Cade, followed by John Hawthorne. Alec, I hope you'll say your name, your first and last for the record, and maybe when you say your last name, you'll help me learn how to say it.
Hi, I'm Alec Armendariz. I'm a member of Olympia Democratic Socialists of America. I did not come with prepared remarks, but I wanted to add my voice to the chorus for to designate Olympia as a trans sanctuary. Thank you, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Michael Cade.
Thank you very much. Michael Cade. I'm the Executive Director of the Thurston Economic Development Council. I live at 3526 Holiday Drive, Southeast in Olympia. It's hard for me to follow these very compelling discussions before you about Sanctuary City, and I certainly support their courage and their ability to stand up in front of a group of people and say, let's do this. So with that in mind, I want to deliver a couple of words of thank you to the council this evening. Really, as you invest in small business and entrepreneurs in this community, and periodically we receive thank you letters to us, thanking us for our work and our programs. And I want to turn those right around and provide those to you, because they really should be addressed to you. Because you can call them and say, thank you for the kind words. But I want to make sure that we deliver these to the council. And so I'd like to just take a couple seconds and read several of these. I'm going to provide the full thank you card to Mr. Burney, and I'll provide those, and hopefully he'll get those to you this later on this evening. But with that in mind, I quote, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the Olympia City Council and their continued support for programs like Quick Startup and Business Coaching. These initiatives have been instrumental in helping me grow and develop my business, Noble Delight. Your dedication to fostering entrepreneurship in our community is truly appreciated. Marquesa Allen from Noble Delight. On behalf of small businesses like ours, I want to extend a heartfelt mahalo nui lau to the Olympia City Council for their continued support for small business development programs such as those offered by the Women's Center for Women in Business. Thank you very much, Drew Mananali Designs. And there's a number of them, but I'll yield the rest of my time. And again, I'll provide these thank you cards to the council. But truly, they come to me, but they really come to you for your investment into those things. Also, I wanted to thank Mr. Councilmember Cooper for his continued support and input into the organization as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have our final in-person public commenter of the evening, John Hawthorne.
Hello. I am here to try to protect my tenants from the expensive city bureaucracy and county greed. I provide housing for over 98 families living in Thurston and Grays Harbor County. Most of these families would be homeless if it wasn't for me. This is the truth, and I'm not bragging, the damn truth. 5% are able to pay, 14% are Section 8. The balance are having trouble paying at this time. I have been a landlord since 1970. My rents are 20 to 50% below market value. I am able to do this because I try to be my own property manager. I don't pay 10% per unit in management fees. I have owned most of my properties 20 or more years. I still have 10 years more to make payments on. Here are a few of the tenants that have problems. I had to evict 4 families due to non-payment this year, totaling $45,000 in back rent. I agreed and accepted an arbitrary payment. From all 4, only 1 is in compliance. I have family of 5 owing $6,050, family of mother of 1 owing $5,008, a family lady and her aunt $2,625, 6 women, a single woman $4,000, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The City of Olympia's rental registration enacted by you is the bureaucracy I'm complaining about. I am 82 years old. I don't have the computer skills or the time and legal action. The city has to solve this supposed purpose. Anyway, the city continues to shoot itself in the foot. The amendments only speed to decrease in available low-cost housing as rental owners my age are forced to sell. Fear of rent control will be the reasons they are rent. I have put a papers on your desk. They're explaining that.
Thank you, Mr. Hawthorne.
Okay, take a look at the other paper.
Yes, we have your paper. Sir, your time has expired. Thank you. We have your paper here. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, we'll move to, Kelly's on it, we'll move to virtual public comments. And I see we have three folks that have signed up, starting with Alexis Jansen.
Alexis is traveling.
Hello, is this on?
Hello, Alexis. You sound great. You can go ahead and begin, and so will your time.
Thank you. Good evening, council members and fellow citizens. Thank you for your attention. My name is Alexis Jansen. I love living in Olympia. I own a small business and I pay my city taxes. But as a transgender woman living in America, I'm terrified of what's coming next year. Trans youth, queer youth, LGBTQ people of all stripes are at risk. We need a safe place to live in a city that has vowed to protect us. This is why I am asking the council to please declare Olympia a sanctuary city for trans and LGBTQ communities. We are one of the most politically persecuted groups in this country. Over $200 million spent on ads targeting trans people this election cycle. $200 million targeting 1% of the population, my brothers and sisters who are doing nothing but living their lives, being themselves, and simply begging to just leave us alone, please. Anti-trans legislation and attacks are an intentional wedge. Where they succeed, attacks on cis women always follow. Reproductive justice and trans healthcare are also inextricably linked. Many do not know this, but the Nazis came for trans people first. We have always been the canary in the coal mine. In the city's own words, the Olympia City Council has demonstrated history of declaring Olympia to be a safe haven and sanctuary to those who are politically persecuted by declaring Olympia a sanctuary city. Olympia is already a sanctuary city for immigrants, women, and refugees. Please do the right thing and make it a sanctuary city for trans and LGBTQ people and communities as well. Thank you for your time. I yield.
Thank you, Alexis. Next, we have Dr. Avshalom Brock-Levy.
Dr. Brock-Levy is not in the queue, but Lucas Miller is.
Okay, we'll try the doctor afterwards. So we'll go ahead and wait for Lucas Miller to join us.
Lucas is traveling.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Everyone can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. My name is Lucas Miller. I am a board member of PFLAG Olympia. PFLAG, for those who don't know, is a national organization providing support, education, and advocacy for LGBTQ folks, their friends, families, and allies. And what I can tell you is that our chapter here in Olympia has been contacted with increasing frequency by LGBTQ, especially trans people from red states looking for a place to move to where they will be able to access life-saving health care or able to use a public restroom without fear of arrest. And mostly we're getting calls from parents in states like Texas, Florida, Tennessee, saying, I can't get life-saving health care for my child. We're thinking of moving to Washington. You know, what kind of resources can we find there? So I'm here on behalf of our organization to support Olympia in declaring itself a sanctuary city, especially for trans youth and their families, looking to leave states that are trying to deprive them of health care and other transition options that make it very untenable for them to continue to live in those states. We are creating new support groups to address some of these issues, and we hope that Olympia will will continue this. So thank you.
Thank you. And then last for virtual public comment, we'll just see if the doctor is ready.
The doctor is not in the queue. He's not there.
Okay, well, there's another opportunity next week. Thank you. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. So that does conclude in-person and online public comment for this evening. As the Mayor Pro Tem said, you are more than welcome to return next week if you've missed the opportunity for public comment at our final business meeting of the year is next Tuesday. So any comments from council? Councilmember Madron.
Yeah, I'll just thank everybody for coming in and speaking, particularly around the sanctuary status and protecting trans folks in our community. I know it's something that we've been talking about as a council, so I don't know if anybody else, I know that Councilmember Cooper is planning on saying something later on in the meeting about it, but we did just talk about it during our informal dinner earlier, and so stay tuned. And then to Nikki, Michael, and Elizabeth, it's always nice to have people come in and thank us and give us kudos, so appreciate y'all.
All right. Councilmember Gilman, followed by Councilmember Parsley.
Thank you. I really value and appreciate the comment tonight. I know it takes courage to come here, and I am confident the support was clear across council as we spoke informally that we want every person in Olympia to feel loved, welcomed, and defended from laws that are, federal laws coming to oppress people. So we're beginning the work. I was pleased to hear a couple of you offered that you had some specific ideas about protections that we might do at the city level. I've reached out to a couple of national organizations that have legal briefs for cities to consider what protections we might enact. But we'll have to work together over the next few weeks to figure out specifically, because we'll certainly make broad statements about wanting to include, protect, not discriminate, protect human rights. But if there are specific protections, we need to, sort those out. So anyhow, I look forward to continuing the work and then to celebrating with you in the near future.
Thank you. Councilmember Parsley, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
This is an easy response. It's a no-brainer. Yes. That's all I can say. And in my new position, it's a yes. And we have to take this threat seriously. There's going to be a lot of things on the chopping block come January 20th. And there is an urgency. So if I had one of those buttons that said that was easy, I would put just yes.
Mayor, excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
You want a button now? You got a new title? You want a button? I don't have a lot of new profound things to say. I just see that we have gratitude coming in numbers. We have folks wanting a trans or LGBTQ plus sanctuary city coming in numbers. And I thought it was appropriate to add my voice in numbers as a council member. First, for the folks that came to share gratitude, I'm tracking LTAC, the housing ordinance, and then also for our partnership with the Thurston Economic Development Council. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing that. We have a city organization, you work closely with those folks, and we have a city organization that does so much. We have a council that does a lot, and we all have jobs, right? And we know how it feels to kind of put a lot of your energy into something and wonder how it's resonating. And so when you take time out of your evening to come, when you're not asking us for anything really, but really just kind of doing that follow up, it helps us know, hey, our efforts are being felt. Our staff are doing great work, and so just really appreciate that. And then for all of the folks for Sanctuary City, I heard about this, I don't know, maybe a week or two ago. The email started coming in, and then as well, we had started kind of just a little bit talking about it amongst ourselves. And I'll say that I felt like with this one, I wasn't sure, for the reason being, I said, well, of course we welcome community members from the LGBTQ plus community. But how is this going to be real? What is it going to do for them if we were to pass not to dilute what a sanctuary city is, but I do get sometimes a little bit grumpy about being like, okay, we do the proclamations, which I really love. We fly the flag, which I think is very important. And also it's like, how are we going to make this real for community members, right? Is this just another shiny thing? And I think those shiny things are important too. And so you all coming tonight has been very, very helpful for me. Like it is, it's a feeling. And you brought that feeling tonight. And also I love that, some of my council mates had said this, but I love that you all have some thoughts on how it can be real to you. Like what actions can we take? So I'm all in on this one, and I thank you so much for coming here tonight. And it's let me know that, hey, people in our community do really care about this. It's not just that other piece of paper, you know what I mean? So anyway, and then I know that we had another topic, and that community member is no longer with us at the moment, but we do have his contact, so I'm hoping that we can have staff reach out to John Hawthorne and just maybe offer some guidance in how to make the process of rental registry just a little easier. This is a new one for folks that are navigating it for the first time, and so I think I think it's worth to just help people through the process. So, and I know we're good at that. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Councilmember Vanderpool.
I first want to start by saying I thank you for coming out and speaking for the Sanctuary City. I mean, it takes a lot of bravery to come and speak on this because a lot of members of the trans community often don't feel safe enough to come out and speak on this because of the levels of systemic discrimination that exists out there, that exists on beyond what we can do on policies in a cultural sense. And so I really do appreciate you coming. I appreciate the emails that we've been receiving, and I appreciate the need to create tangible proposals. The public expects us to do proposals that are tangible rather than just saying that we support the trans community, but how do we integrate that into our policies? How do we know how do we take the knowledge that we have gained and the research and the life and the knowledge that we gain from hearing people's lived experiences and shape it into a way that we can make the city more livable for folks, make it easier for folks, because it goes, this issue goes into so many different avenues. It's housing, it's being able to walk down the street without being discriminated against, it's being able to go into stores and feel safe. It's being able to meet with your friends in public. There are so many different avenues. I mean, it even goes as far as trans youth in our schools and how they're being affected by this. And it's already hard enough to be a child. So I hope that we can move forward and we can create some good proposals from here. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. I want to first of all, just say thank you to Elizabeth and to Michael for coming and expressing your gratitude. We don't always get that during public comment, and it's much appreciated to know that the work we're doing is actually affecting people on the ground and that they're expressing their gratitude and thanks to us. So we just appreciate you being here tonight. And I do yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Nikki too. She just wrote me a note. Thank you. And I really am just sort of thinking about the fact that we had a discussion around expanding our sanctuary city status to include the LGBTQ community. And, you know, my thinking about, we want to make it real. Let's make sure we have some concrete actions that we can actually, it's not just flowery words and language. That sounds nice. But I'm sitting here thinking about it, and flowery language and words actually matters. And the fact that governments haven't always done so much as even that, right? And so what you're all here asking for tonight is actually powerful for a lot of reasons. Words do matter. So putting those words on paper is in and of itself an action that historically has not been done, specifically as it relates to the LGBTQ community and more specifically the trans community. So I don't want to pat ourselves on the back for that, but it is something that we should all be thinking about, that we can't take for granted, that even doing so much as something like that is powerful. I will say, though, that I'm thinking about, you know, the next federal administration is going to likely target sanctuary cities. So what you're all here asking us to do is to expand our sanctuary city status. And I think it says so much about who we are as Olympians, as a community, that we're not going to be bullied into compromising our values, and we're going to fight back. So I thank you for being part of that chorus, part of, you know, all of us who are here to really advocate for those who are most marginalized. And just know that I hope you can feel the solidarity from each of us on the council tonight, and just know that I personally am sitting with you in your angst and your anxiety, your fear, your sadness, all of it. I feel it, and I just want you to know that I would do everything that I can from this seat to protect all of our community members. So, and with that, I will turn it over to Councilmember Cooper.
Let me thank the thankers really quick. I appreciate you. And I also want to thank the mayor for throwing the gauntlet down in these chambers, because I think a lot of my conversations over the last couple of weeks have been about sanctuary. And the question is, are we ready, and are we eyes wide open to what it means to have this conversation in public? And the answer is yes. The city of Olympia is committed to staying on the correct path, to be on the correct side of history. And I'm really just so happy that I have these colleagues here to request this up today. But first, I want to do another thank you to you for your courage and for being here to represent the people that don't and can't and won't and aren't able to be able to speak out, especially PFLAG for speaking for our youth. Had a lot of chances to work with PFLAG over the years, and I'm glad we have some actually organizational infrastructure in this community already to do the work that Councilmember Gilman was talking about. That's so important, is like, how do we get it right, and how do we get it actionable, right? So that we can come back and be able to say, what have we done, and have we moved in the proper direction? And so I'm going to ask for three things, and I'm going to ask that sort of this umbrella be over all three of them, that we have similar urgency to what we heard in the conversation tonight, and that we see the importance, while we know that it's important for every person to feel safe going about their daily lives in Olympia, we also see the importance of keeping these conversations separate. And then we also want to make sure that besides the questions that or the requests that I'm going to make, that we consider other resolutions and actions that the city council may have taken besides the sanctuary city resolutions, because we have a couple of trans resolutions on the books, and I want to try to use this as an opportunity to pull some of that stuff together and make sure that we kind of are following the path that we have set out before us already as well. For the city manager, should my colleagues support me, I'd like to ask you to do an implementation report and suggestions for improvement around the immigrant and refugee sanctuary resolution and on the reproductive rights sanctuary resolution, as well as bring forward to the city council a path to consider a sanctuary resolution for LGBTQIA plus people, especially queer and trans people. And so if my colleagues are open to that, we'd love to, I think a lot of people have January 21st on their mind. And so how can we go as quickly as we can as a city in this space?
That's a motion on a second.
I saw a hand here. So Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
Thank you. Looking forward to voting yes on this one. Although just wanted to also flag that we also have a sanctuary city on, I believe, is political persecution. So
That's why I did the catch-all.
Okay, great. That's all.
Councilmember Parsley.
Can I just have a summary again of what the motion is? Because there's quite a few points. I just want to make sure that we're all clear on what you're asking.
Yeah, and I wasn't thinking it needed a motion because the consensus can just give direction for report. So an implementation report and suggestions for improvement on our existing sanctuary resolutions, and a path to consider a sanctuary resolution for LGBTQIA plus people, especially queer and trans people.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you. And are you finished with your comments, Councilmember Cooper? Okay. Thank you. All right. Any additional comments from council? Seeing none, that concludes our public comment section for this evening. And at this time, we're